do it before you're ready. Like, give the damn price is what you said. But like, it's true. You're never going to know if it's too high. You're never going to know if it's too low until after you do it. So you might as well just put yourself out there and get it done and then assess afterwards.
Hey there, I'm Maida Leon, and my mission is to help creatives like you translate what you love to do into a highly profitable income. I'm a mom of 3 who began as a lettering artist and grew it into a 6-figure business. If I made it possible, so can you. Every week, we'll dive deep into topics like building your confidence, getting comfortable talking about money, and nurturing your passion while juggling life and family. So if you're an ambitious creative who wants to craft the life you love, get cozy, feel at home, and listen to the Confident Creator Show.
Becca Courtice is a modern calligrapher and instructor based in Canada. She's well known all over the internet as the Happy Ever Crafter, a brand that she started in 2015 and has since grown to be a community of over 500,000 aspiring artists and art business owners all over the world. If you're looking to learn new skills, both art and in business, in a simple, fun, and stress-free way, Becca aims to help you do just that. But beware, if dad jokes and terrible puns are not your jam, you might want to find a different place to learn. And in this episode, we'll chat about business and pricing, which is a favorite topic for most creators. So grab a cuppa and enjoy the show. Here she is, my good friend and my favorite YouTuber, Becca Courtice.
Hi, how are you?
So good to see you again.
Yeah. Mai, did you just say that pricing was people's favorite topic? Because I feel like it's people's least favorite topic.
Well, it is the most interesting topic for everyone because it's the topic that not a lot of people wanted to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's a taboo topic, but I mean, to most of the people I talk to, it's what people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, it feels like people are hiding their prices, don't want to talk about it, like it's some kind of secret, you know? Yeah, but thankfully, It has been slowly changing and we have started talking about pricing, especially you. And you even have a program for this, and we'll talk about that later. But for now, I know you're wildly popular in almost every social media channel there is, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But just in case there's someone out there who's new to you and your brand, can you please tell us a bit about who the Happy Ever Crafter is and how it all started for you?
Yeah, I'll give you like the quick Coles notes of how it started. I had a full-time job. I was working in something completely unrelated to hand lettering and calligraphy and art. And I just wanted a hobby. So I started learning calligraphy for fun. And then I got pretty good at it pretty quickly. And people started asking me to teach it and do it for clients and all that kind of stuff. And it all just like really snowballed from there. So that was 5.5 years ago. And now I do this full time. I do work for clients, but I also teach people how to do calligraphy and lettering. And now I'm teaching them how to do work for clients. So it's all like, it's all just kind of, like I said, snowballed into this huge, massive thing. And I never expected this to be the way I make my living, but I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? How you start from one thing and then it leads to another. And then all of a sudden, it's this big business that you have already built. And in just 5 short years, that is an amazing job.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then, but it's funny that you're talking about how it's like turned into this big business, because just yesterday, somebody like in real life that I've known for a very long time, but I hadn't seen in a long time. Like we hadn't caught up in a while. And I guess to an outsider, it sort of just looks like I'm Instagram famous. And so he was over here and he was like, so, you know, do you have a job? Do you have a job? Or is it just, or are you just Instagram famous? And I was like, sort of offended by that. I was like, you know what? Like I work so much harder than I ever did when I had a quote unquote job now. But like people in the real world think that it's just like Instagram fame and you just automatically make money from Instagram when you have a lot of followers. And it just
I know, right?
made me so crazy.
Yes, and I have seen you work so hard. Like I have been asking you, how do you do that? 2 videos every single week? Like it's an awesome job for somebody who, is doing a lot of videos on Instagram already, and then you have 2 videos per week on YouTube, and then you also have a group that you maintain on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But like I said, to most people, it just looks like I have lots of followers and
Yeah.
the money just magically rolls in, which is so funny to me.
There is a lot of stuff that's going behind the scenes, but I promise we're gonna dive deep into pricing. So let's get straight to it right away. So tell me about the beginning of your business in terms of pricing. Did you also have experiences like quoting too low, and how did that make you feel?
Oh my God, yeah. When I first started, I had no reference point for what I should be charging, which I think is where a lot of people start. And that's why Joanne and I wrote our pricing course, because like we talked about at the beginning, it's such a taboo topic and people don't want to hear about it and don't want to share their prices and stuff. And I think it's getting better now. But yeah, when I started, I had no idea how much to charge. And I specifically remember the first time somebody approached me to do work for them. She wanted like a full custom made invite suite for her sister's baby shower. She wanted 40 handmade invites. So like I was going to cut the cardstock and I was going to add a piece of vellum on top and I was going to do the digital design and get it printed and then do some calligraphy over top and then add these little like embellishments and cut out this little cute little tutu thing in pink and stick it on and then do the lettering on the envelopes and everything. And so for one suite like that, how much would you charge? Like one cardstock thing, all custom made and a hand lettered envelope for one, what would you do?
If it was me, probably it's going to be like $50 per piece.
Yeah. So guess what I charged?
How much?
$1.50.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I know that now.
So I spent so much time on that job. And I made a bunch of mistakes, obviously, because it was the first time I ever did it. And I sourced all the materials. I did all of it. And I made negative money. Like it cost me money to make this for this girl. I loved every minute of it because it was like, oh my God, I'm doing this I'm doing this to make money kind of thing. But I never actually did the math and realized that I was losing money. And that I really shouldn't have been spending as much time on it as I did. So anyway, that was a good learning experience. And then for the first year or two, I constantly was undercharging. It was a matter of I was always thinking, what would the client be willing to pay for this? Or what would I be willing to pay for this? And that's how I charged things. It was never actually a calculation of how much time am I going to spend? How much money am I going to spend? What's my profit going to be? What's my hourly rate? All the things. I never, ever did those calculations until a few years in.
Yeah, true. And sometimes because we are beginners, we're actually having these pricing mistakes. And I shared about that in one of my video lives inside my Facebook group. And I told everybody we are making mistakes on pricing because sometimes we price based on our own self-esteem, our worth, our value right now. Because I'm new, I don't have the right to price this much because I'm new to this industry. There are so many famous artists who are already charging better. And I cannot charge that on that level yet. We are making those assumptions that people will not pay us for our services simply because we are new, and we think that ourselves we don't deserve to be to accept that rate. So yeah, it's so
one of the
terrible.
words you just said, the word assumptions, which we know what they say about assumptions, right? Do you know that saying?
No, tell me about it.
Am I allowed to say the word ass on here? Because they say that making an assumption makes an ass out of you and me. That's the word assume.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. This is the first time I heard about it. So thank you for enlightening me about that word. It's amazing. So tell me, well, I did ask a couple of my followers about pricing because I did not have a lot of experience about pricing too low because, as you know, I started with Alphonse already is around, right? And when I started charging people for my artwork, I already know I'm not going to charge low because I don't have a lot of time to do it. And if I'm going to do it, it better be worth it. So I really charged high because I think at the time my idea was I don't want people to hire me. And if they are really serious about hiring me, they better pay me the price that I want.
That's where
that
I'm
just
at now. But so many beginners like are the
Yeah.
complete opposite, where they're like, oh my God, I want anyone to hire me, so I'm going to go as low as I can.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I did ask some of our followers if they have specific questions from you because they were all excited you're coming to this show. So, from your experience, tell us about what you think is the best, an hourly rate or a flat rate?
Oh, it's such a big topic, Maya. We could have a whole podcast just about this topic.
True. But
Um,
yes, and we have these different pricing models, right? And hourly rate and pricing could be like another probably part of your course.
yeah, it is. It is part of our course. But okay, so hourly pricing is easier for somebody who's just starting because you don't actually have to know or estimate how long things are going to take you. You don't really have to estimate anything. You just kind of tell the client what your hourly rate is and you say, I'll do the work for this much an hour. But the problem with that is that the client has no idea how many hours that's going to take you. Like they aren't educated enough to know that it's going to take you 4 hours versus 40 hours. And that's a very different outcome for them in terms of what the cost of the project is. And so many clients don't respond well to that because the first thing they're going to ask you is, well, how many hours is it going to take? And then you're at the exact same point as you could have been if you just did a project price, which means actually using your hourly rate in the back of your mind, but then using it to do the calculations on your end and giving the client just a total price instead.
Yes.
And so I lean towards telling people to do project-based pricing as soon as you can. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a combination. So for example, like you give the client a project-based price. And so they know exactly what their total is going to be, but you also tell them if we go over in these different areas of the project, I'll charge you hourly at a rate of X. So for logo designers, often this is a thing. I'm sure you know all about this, Mai, but you tell the client it's going to be $4,000, and then you say, and if you want more, this includes 2 or 3 rounds of revisions, and if you want more than that, I'm going to charge you at my hourly rate. And so that gives the client an indication of what the base project price is, but they also are aware that they might have to spend a little more on it. And so that sets the expectations properly. But long story short, I lean towards project pricing whenever you can. And even if you feel uncomfortable with it, it's usually going to end up working in your benefit.
True. I believe that too, because there are also times, I don't know if it has happened to you already, but it did for me. Like there will be times where you are really in the zone and then you can finish a project in 30 minutes. So project-based pricing or flat rate is beneficial for you because you're done.
And it's not even
right.
It's not even just that you, like if you're in the zone, but let's say you're just a more experienced artist, right? Like if you're a more experienced artist, you can get it done a lot faster. And so if you charged hourly, it actually means that you're making less money for being more experienced, which is the opposite of what it should be. So if you charge a project-based price, you're able to like fluctuate that price based on your experience and actually make more money at the end of the day. Like, because like you said, if you're in the zone and you get it done quickly, you're still making that same amount versus if you were charging hourly and you get in the zone and then you tell the client, oh, it actually only took me an hour, but in your head, you thought it was going to take you 5. So you're making way less money.
Yes. And it's actually, I don't know, in terms of integrity, it's not good, right? If you finished it in an hour, you got to send the bill that it's just for an hour. So that's just it. And I think for me, my personal vote would be also project-based pricing, mostly, especially, I don't know, I did not do a lot of that, but it has always been my personal choice because I think, yes, like you said, it's more beneficial. And I really, really like want to control my time. I don't want to be tied up working for, I have to finish this in 2 hours. I have to finish this in 8 hours, I think that gives me a lot of freedom in terms of creativity, and it's taking the pressure off.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, if you think about it, like I had to work with a lawyer recently for buying a house, and they charge hourly. And
Yeah.
so it's just like it's the most uncomfortable feeling as a client, because you really have no idea what that cap is going to be unless you're working with a really great lawyer, or in this case, artist, who's like, it's probably going to take me 12 hours, and then you have a ballpark. But again, at that point, why don't you just give them a project-based price?
Yeah, true. And sometimes it's really still very much confusing to a lot of clients, like whether it's an hourly rate or usually clients would also prefer that, right?
Mhm.
Because they know exactly what they need to pay. They're not going to wait until you're finished with the job. That might take God knows how long. So
Exactly. Mhm.
I think it's beneficial not just for us, but also for both the client and us. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how did you know when you can answer this in like when you were starting with a business, or now that you have already gained a lot of experience in terms of pricing. How do you know when the price is a little too low or a little too high?
Oh, man. I mean, the answer that comes to my mind first, you don't really know.
Yeah.
You might figure it out later, especially in terms of like okay, so here's my answer. You don't know. Uh and the problem is, let's say you had a client approach you, and in your head you're like, okay, this job should be about $1,000, but then you get nervous that they're going to say no, and you drop it to 700, and you're like, okay, I'm going to quote them 700, and I'm going to really hope that they say yes. And then they say yes, and you're like, would they have also said yes if I went to that 1,000? Like you have no idea if they would
Yes.
have or not. And it's not like you're going to ask them and be like, actually, would you have said yes if I went a little bit? Like, you're not going to ever ask that. So you don't know.
True.
You don't know. But like the general rule of thumb too is, if you're getting more than 50% of your quotes accepted, then you're going too low, and you can raise your prices. And that's like what you were saying, Mai. If you're getting more than 50% of your quotes accepted, then you're super busy. You like don't want to be doing that much work. So up your prices. You can do less work for a higher rate. And then if you're going too high, I mean, it's a tricky one, because that rule doesn't really work in reverse. Like if you're getting a no to all of your quotes, it doesn't necessarily mean that your quotes are too high. It might be a combination of like a million other things. It could be that, that you're attracting the wrong clients. You aren't presenting your work properly. You're not communicating well. Like all these different things can contribute to that. So it's a tricky one, but I would say you don't really ever know. It's totally a work in progress. So that might not give people like a concrete answer, but just know that it's something we all struggle with.
Yeah, always be testing your prices. But whenever I talk to students and clients in terms of pricing, because this is always a question that gets up every single time. So I would always say, you know what? You price what you're most comfortable with, right?
That's the
Start
thing
with
too,
that.
is you have to do, you can do all the research and all the work and all the calculations in the world. But at the end of the day, I always say to people too, like, you have to sit down and do a gut check about it. Like if it's making you physically ill to press the send button on your quote, then it's probably a little bit too high for your comfort zone, And if it's making you feel, if it's making you dread the work, then you're going too low.
Exactly, right? And I have been telling people that. Do you want to work for hours and hours and hours and be charged a couple of $100? Like, you don't want that, right? You are going to dread the work. You're not going to like it. You're not going to enjoy the process, and you're not going to enjoy your job. But if you priced well enough and you think you're comfortable with the pricing, not too high, maybe not too low, you'll feel a lot better and you will enjoy creating. And you will enjoy being an artist. You will enjoy your job. But if you just give it too low, oh my goodness, that's super, super terrible. you are really going into the path of the starving artist, and we don't want you to be on that path. So setting your
Totally.
price high, a little bit higher, or test your prices. So I always say charge, just give the damn price. Okay. Okay. I'm pumping my what do you call that?
Fist.
Yeah, fist. I forgot because I got super excited when I tell people just give the damn price, because you will really never know if that price is right. And I know I started like that. When I know that I want to charge high, I looked for how much are other people charging. I did my research. And at the time, I saw that for beginners, you should be charging for $50 per hour. And I was like, I don't feel that. If I'm going to charge per hour, I'd charge maybe 75. Then I don't think I will not be comfortable. I will be comfortable with that. So
I think you're an anomaly though, because most beginners are like, oh, the average is 50. Let me go to 20, you know?
Probably. And the reason for that is because I leveraged my situation. So that is how I learned early on to leverage on what you really want, and, let the clients come in. And if they want to work with you, good. If they don't, then no. And I have learned that, and I actually just, ruined my Outlook program, but I have saved all of the no's that I have sent, because there were a lot of inquiries when I started, and so many of them wanted to charge $50, $100, and I was like, no, I'm not going to waste my time. I don't have that time. And at the time, I'm busy between doctor's appointments, therapies, and taking care of Alphonse, and also the girls are going to school. So, homework and stuff like that. I don't have the bandwidth to work on projects that will pay me really, really low. So when I accepted all that, well-paying clients. And the good thing about that is I don't accept many clients. Like I have one client for 4 months. I have one client for 2 months. That's just it. That's why I didn't. When you look at my portfolio before, I don't have many clients. I have a few, but I know that they're paying me really, really well, and I do not have to work so hard. So that has always been my, mantra: work smarter, not harder. You can
Totally.
make good money by just being wise about your pricing. So don't trade your time for money, because you can do a lot better, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we talked about quote. We're gonna go back to the quote that you mentioned earlier. Do you always give the quote, or do you just price right away?
I often, so on my website, I have like my starting at prices. So the minute somebody looks up what I'm doing, they can go and get like an idea. And I didn't used to do that, because I always thought, in my head, it was like, well, if I put the price on the website and people know what it is right away, then I probably won't get as many people emailing me. And it was like a vanity thing. Like I wanted to know how many people were going to inquire with me. Whereas now they're on my website and they see the price right away. And if they know they can't afford it, they're not even going to bother emailing me, which saves me a lot of time, because there's no point in talking to these people if they know they're not going to be able to afford it. And it also like now it qualifies. Yeah, it qualifies people. If they go to my site and they see the price and they still email me, I know that I don't need to drop my prices. I don't need to do anything to get them to be my clients, because they already know what my ballpark is. But oftentimes, I'll still get emails from people who haven't even gone to my website. They're just inquiring right through email. And I don't know, maybe it's a controversial thing, but I do often give them a ballpark right up front. I'll say, projects like yours that, without knowing all of your details yet, or without getting too far into the weeds, like projects like yours generally tend to run around this amount. And I just make it really clear that that's not a quote. That's just a ballpark. And then I tell them, if you want me to give you an exact quote, here are the questions I need answered. And so that saves me a ton of time, because to give them an actual quote, I would need to go back and forth a few times and get a million questions answered. And if they don't have any idea of what it might run them, and then down the line, we've gone through all this work and I tell them the price and they're like, oh my God, that's way more than I thought. I can't afford this. Then I've wasted a ton of my time. So yeah, I do often give like a little ballpark up front, but the key is just to make it really clear that that's not a quote. That's not a final quote.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting because I that topic has come up more than once inside my own classes, and a lot of people are confused whether they need to put the price up front in the website or not. And I think you pointed a great thing in there that it helps filter out the clients that you do not want to work with, right? So immediately from the get go, they'll see, oh, I cannot afford her. So that is a good filter right away. You don't have to
I
waste your
even have
time.
sorry to interrupt you, but on that
Sure.
point, I even have a box at the bottom of my page that says these are the types of clients that I do not take on. And I've listed the jobs that I don't take anymore because I used to get so many emails of people asking me for projects that I don't want to do. And now I don't get them anymore. So it's just saving me time. But again, at the beginning, I wanted all those emails because I wanted to feel important and stuff. And then I realized like this is a waste of my time. Why am I doing this? I don't care.
Yes, yes. And I think it also plays with your level of confidence, right? You have started getting more comfortable in terms of your pricing because you've gotten more experienced. So you really ultimately you just need to start somewhere, right? And it's interesting how many people have been stumped or finding clarity first or finding the right pricing first before even getting started. So you cannot move on to the next stage if you don't step forward and make that first necessary first step, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you are bothered by your pricing, well, Becca's an amazing. So tell us about your panic-free pricing course. I wanted to talk about that briefly before, I know a lot of people have been asking that, and it's something that you have put together with Joan, and it's something that I have never seen in the internet in a long while. So people really sharing their uh, knowledge about pricing.
Yeah, so it came to be Joanne is actually the woman who taught me calligraphy. And she sort of became my mentor. And like whenever I had pricing questions, I would go to her. And then over time, as I got better at pricing, she would come to me as well. And we kind of like, we would always ask each other pricing questions. And like, we were always talking about pricing. And then as I started teaching calligraphy more, when people started getting really good at calligraphy, they started asking me pricing questions. And so it was just like a natural progression for us to build this
Yeah.
course for people. And we've had like over 5,000 students go through it now, which is amazing because
Wow.
it just builds up the industry, and people now understand the value of their worth. And they're even if they're not getting like telling other people to join the course, they're helping to explain pricing and why they're standing up for the value of our industry. So it's really amazing to see. But the course, it goes everything. It's like the very beginning of pricing, like the mindset stuff, like understanding
Oh, yeah.
the value of your work and your hourly rate, and like all of the different factors that go into building a price, and understanding that it's not just like the cost of your supplies and the time that you spend. It's like so many other things.
True.
So we go through all of that, and then there's actual price lists for all different types of lettering and calligraphy work. So we've broken it down into really all the common sections of things like signage and murals and wedding invites and wedding signs and all the different like things that you could do with your lettering and calligraphy work. And we go through lots of other stuff like confidence. Confidence is a huge one. And actually, on that note, we have a free workshop too about confidence, because we have had so many students go through that course, but we polled them earlier this year and we asked them what's still your biggest struggle, and they all, like, I want to say 98% of the replies that came in had to do with confidence. So they know how much they should be pricing and they know how to value themselves, but they still don't feel confident when they go to send a quote. So Joanne and I made a free workshop. It was actually for them, but then we had so many other beginner pricers come in and really find it valuable. So we have a free workshop. It's called 5 Keys to Confident Pricing, and it's at thehappyevercrafter.com/pricing if anybody wants it. So yeah, there's that. But then the course is at panicfreepricing.com. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great. It's just like, it's one of my favorite things to teach in my business, because it's just like so rewarding to see people come in not valuing their work and not charging enough, and then leave the course charging more, feeling more confident, like actually building their businesses just because of raising their prices this tiny little bit because we've taught them a couple little things. And I just love it. It's so much fun to teach it.
Yes, and it sets the standard for new artists, right?
Mhm.
We don't have to be starving artists anymore. I'm starting. I always stutter when I do podcasts, especially interviews. I always stutter, so this is just kind of my thing. But yeah, you have to excuse that. But you mentioned about confidence, and that's the reason why this is called the Confident Creator Show. The number one reason why artists and creatives, don't move up or don't really feel successful is because of confidence, right? And even in my own program, that is the number one problem. It's not just in terms of pricing. I think it all is the main problem for everybody starting in this business because of the imposter syndrome and a lot of other things, like maybe I don't, and it has a lot to do with our upbringing. There's a lot of money blocks that have been just hiding behind our subconscious, and it's seriously sabotaging us when we are already dealing with all the business stuff and money, especially when it comes to money and talking about money. So yeah, and it's big, but it's amazing that you are talking about that in the program. So how long is it? How long is the program, basically, like the overall course?
It's all self-paced. So it's not, you don't come in and go through anything like
Oh,
at a
good.
certain time. You come in and do it all on your own. But there's, I don't know, probably 3 hours of video footage, but there's also a 120-page book, basically. I can't call it anything other than a book because it really is. It's like, it's all just like filled with everything you could need to know about pricing for a beginner. So it's a book and videos. And then there's a private Facebook group, which is what everybody raves about for it, because all the students are in there asking each other for advice and tips on quoting their job. So they'll get a request from a client and feel a little bit stumped, and then go in and everybody will kind of chime in and give them advice, which is so amazing to see. I just it's built this perfect little community where people can, help each other with that kind of stuff.
I love hearing those stories. I love hearing those. So yeah, I think you did a great job.
Thanks.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It really is one of my favorite parts of my business. I just love seeing people understand that that they don't have to be a starving artist, which you've said a few times on this episode.
Yes, and sometimes what people don't understand is that yes, we're doing business, but our goal is to actually help more of the people who follow us and support our business. It's not just business because we want to make money. Our priority is always to be helping everybody, right?
Nailed it.
All right. Oh my goodness. So I know that I'm super pumped to have this conversation with you, and I hope we have more time, but I know you're also busy. So before I let you go, is there any advice you'd like to give our listeners who might be struggling with their confidence with pricing their art and products or services?
Well, the five things in that free workshop are all about confidence. So if that's what you're struggling with, just come take that workshop, because oh my God, I could talk about it forever. But honestly, you already touched on my biggest piece of advice that I always give people. And it's just do it before you're ready. Like, give the damn price is what you said. But like, it's true. You're never going to know if it's too high. You're never going to know if it's too low until after you do it. So you might as well just put yourself out there and get it done, and then assess afterwards.
Yep. Awesome. And like we both said, and Becca said herself, if you're doubting yourself and unsure about your pricing, they have an amazing course called Panic-Free Pricing. And don't worry if you missed the link. I'll link you up in the episode show notes so you can get signed up right away. It's available anytime, right? Yep. And I don't always recommend someone else's program. But when I do, you can bet that is so, so good. And I know you. You give so, so much in all of your programs, and people have known you for that. You are well known for that. And yes, so I can guarantee that course is really, really amazing. So Becca, Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
So mostly I'm always on Instagram. So at the Happy Ever Crafter, and then the same handle everywhere, pretty much. The Happy Ever Crafter on YouTube, thehappyevercrafter.com is my website. And yeah, those are the main three: Instagram, YouTube, and my website.
Perfect. And once again, thank you so much for graciously giving us your time to talk about your pricing expertise today. I know you're so busy, so we really appreciate it. And if you didn't catch up on all those links, they will be in the episode show notes. Just head over to mydeleon.com/Becca and you will find everything you need. So I hope you learned a lot from this episode because I did. And if you like this episode, leave us a review because every time you do, you help the podcast get discovered by other creatives who need the inspiration to pursue their own creative dreams. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai. Thank you so much, Becca.
Bye. Thanks for having me.